Good morning, all my YouTube followers. This is a very special time of year for us. One of my favorite times in spring. I'm bringing you out here in the greenhouse to show you what a disaster it is in the winter, because I think that's important. Because when you watch some things and everything's perfect, everything's nice, but in reality, that ain't how it works. So in the fall, in the winter, everything's got to be brought in, all of our pots, everything, stuff emptied, some things we keep alive. And later on, we'll show you when we have to actually get down and clean this mess up. But today we'll be planting plants. We'll start our seeds, and we're going to put them in 6-packs. And folks, that's not 6 packs of beer. That's 6 packs, little seeds you put in 6 packs. And then I'm going to show you how we heat this. Over here, we have a pipe coming off of our wood stove with a fan that blows all of our heat in here. We can keep plants here all winter, like all the Nana's flowers, the girls' flowers, whatever they want to keep. We bring in here. They'll set them out this next spring when after frost. So let me show you around. Right here is where the kids play a lot in the winter, because they like to dig in the dirt, but it's too cold outside. And Owen, my little grandson, he'll dig a great big hole. Then his sister will fill it up, which will make him mad. And then he'll dig it all back out. They play with all their bulldozers and their trucks and all their toys. So this gives them something to do all winter. It's better than watching TV all day. Come along with me and I'll show you some of the junk that gets piled up. You can look at these bunks. Look in between these bunks. Them are all pots that get thrown in here. In fact, they weren't just thrown, but when the kids get in here, they start doing everything with it. They made a little bridge so they can crawl from one platform to another. And then over here, we got some greens. A little Swiss chards all winter. It likes the cold anyway, and it does really well in the winter. And over here, we got another set of greens, kale. We designed 2 of these bunks, all treated lumber. So, and we put dirt in here, potting soil, stuff we get out a lot, so we can grow stuff in the winter. That one over there, we switched over to a lot of storage. It just needs to be cleaned up, straightened up. Everything gets piled over there in the winter. But it's nice to grow some greens. I grew lettuce this winter, radishes, green onions. In fact, I've got a few green onions here left. So it makes good for greens in the wintertime especially. And right here, we've had these little cherry tomatoes. They're sun sugars. They grow all winter. And these plants, if you take care of them, they got a little cold, you could see, but they'll come back. But they'll last for years and years and years. Tomato plants, like you plant in your garden in the fall, they get a frost, they're dead. You plant them in here. We've had some in here for 5 or 6 years. Before I just replant some, they're still doing okay. They just get too bushy. If we have a little background noise, it's because today, March 1st, we're having 40-mile-an-hour winds today. So look like March is coming in pretty windy. But they always say, come in like a lamb, go out like a lion. Well, we'll see what happens this year. And down there, we raise our own sage. We got 2 pots. And these are some of Nana's Canaans. Should be planting them out after frost. This is a lemon tree. And don't ever have lemons on it. But it's got thorns on it. I don't like it very much, but that's the way it is. Now we got basil down here. Raise our own basil. Different kind of flowers that I know very, very little about. I figure if you can't eat it, I don't want to grow it. But the women folk, they like their flowers, so that's what we do. Now we're going to go start planting our seeds. We'll take you along with us. And then later on, we're going to go down to what we call the high tunnel. And now we'll go ahead and plant some radishes, different kind of seeds we'll plant down. Lettuce, turnips, they all like cold weather. They do really well, but now it's time to get them in. So that's where we're going to be heading later. So come along with us. Right here, my wife planted an avocado tree, and it takes 10 years to grow an avocado. She had 2 of them. One of them died. So I don't think there's much chance of ever getting avocados, but it takes up a lot of room, but she loves it, so it's staying right there. Right here, in other videos, we showed our old wood stove, heats this shop. That's what heats the greenhouse. And this pipe right here pumps and goes straight out there. And I also got a damper right here. So if it gets real cold, I can open it up and blow heat into the shop. But I keep tin foil wrapped around it, keep it sealed pretty tight. Because when it's really cold, like when it was 20 something below zero, I wanted all the heat to go out there. The stove heats as well anyway. Folks, we're getting ready to do planting some seeds here. We got some pak choy, cauliflower, kohlrabi, cabbage, and some broccoli. So we'll start putting them all out, putting them in these 6-packs, getting them planted, getting them started. So when the ground warms up, we can take them out and stick them in the ground. So stay with us. This is the potting soil we always use, Miracle-Gro. We use a lot of different kinds, but it absorbs water really well, and it holds on to water. Some stuff we've bought in the past, the water sits on top, and it gets hard, real hard, and the plants don't do well in it. So we're not sponsored by Miracle-Gro, but we like to have this about fun, family, and entertainment, but also educational. Find out what works for us, because I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, and through trial and error, you find out what works best, and this is what we try to always use. Here's what their potting soil looks like. It's just really amazing. And it comes with fertilizer, gets them started good. They really do well. And the seeds we plant, that we're going to be planting, are open pollinated seeds. And that way, we're going to get where we start saving all of our seeds that we raise. So we're not dependent on somebody else raising our seeds. And to my opinion, hybrid are not as flavorful or nutritious as open pollinated. I like the old open pollinated seeds. So you can do what you want to do. You can order them from these 2 companies, or you can order open pollinated or hybrids. But folks, people really need to start growing a garden, growing a lot of their own food, because now you're going to find out how much more and more stuff they put in your food, with Robert Kennedy running the show, and people's going to be kind of shocked at what's going on. So if you raise your own food, make your family healthier, why not do it? Now, there is some hybrids we still like that we plant, but we keep them away from our open pollinated ones because they'll cross pollinate. One of my favorite tomatoes, open pollinated, is a pink tomato. It's called a Yugoslavian tomato. That's an open pollinated tomato, and they really, really do well in our soil. And another thing, if you keep your own seeds, they'll do better and better every year. Like when you plant garlic, we've ordered garlic seed plants, the bulbs, you tear them apart. But the first year or 2, they might not do very well. It can take garlic 3 or 4 years to increment to your type of soil that you have. And the longer you raise it, the better it gets, because it gets used to your soil. So that's just something to keep in mind, something to think about. One good reason to use open pollinated seeds. Once, you don't have to worry about getting seeds because you already have them. Number 2, you can try all different kinds, hybrids, open pollinated, to see which ones you like best. And then you'll know. But if something goes haywire and you can't get seeds, you have your own seeds. So that's why we do it. And folks, the seeds we always get from them, we really had good luck with, and they're reasonably priced, is Johnny's and Jung seeds. And they're really good companies. We've never had any problems with them. They're nationally known. So this is what we'll be planting today, and see if we can't get them started growing. This thing right here is called a flat. And you put these little, what I call 6-packs inside of here, and this flat will hold 6 dozen. Each one of these is called a cell. This is how we fill them. We just throw them in there. And when I'm done, I know it's packed down a little bit. I like to just put my fingers in there, makes nice little holes to put your seeds. If you plant your seeds, you only want about 1/4 of an inch coverage. If you get a little deeper, usually with potting soil, they'll come up, but 1/4 inch is a best height. But if you plant seeds out in your garden, like let's say lettuce seeds, and you get them a little too deep, you get a crust on your ground because it gets a little dry. Them seeds will never come up through there. We're going to start planting cabbage, and this brand is called Danish Ball Head. There's some really, really little seeds here. And what I like to use is a pair of tweezers. We raise a lot of cabbage because Jessica makes sauerkraut, and it's the best sauerkraut I ever ate. My granddaughter Ella is very, very good at this. Of course, she can just use her little fingers, but they're in school today, her and Owen. I know Owen, he'd probably rather be here, but you know what's nice about having elderly people in these kids' life? It really can ground them. You can teach them a lot of things, and you definitely can teach them things that they shouldn't do. And they always got somebody they can come talk to. You know, because some kids don't always like to talk to their parents, but they're more apt to talk to their grandparents or some elderly person. They figure less judgmental, less critical. We raised our kids to honor the Lord, and we raise them in that lifestyle. We're not fanatics, but I read the Bible daily, usually in the evenings, and it's really, really helped me in some really bad times in my life. One thing I failed to mention when you're planting these seeds, you just put one seed in each one of these little cells in these 6-packs, and we got them all planted, so I'm just going to go along covering them all up a little bit. Make sure they got a little cover on them. Then we got these little markers, and this one's cabbage, so we'll just put a little marker in there saying green cabbage, and these are ready to go to the greenhouse. We like to put these to start out with on the south side of our greenhouse, so they get a lot of sun. If the sun gets too hot, later spring, we put a shade cloth above here. This kind of breaks the sun up a little bit so it don't get quite as hot. Now it's time to gently water these, because if you water them hard, you'll wash the seeds out. So we just run water gently on them, soak them up really well. And these got to be watered at least once a day, if not twice a day. Twice a day is better until they come up. A little more water pressure. There we go. So the soil dries out relatively fast. Sitting here in the sun. And all these seed 6-packs got real well drainage in them. They got a lot of holes in them so they don't sit in water. You don't want them sitting in water, but you want to keep the seeds well soaked until they sprout. If you don't, and they start to swell up the sprout, and you let them dry up, then they'll die. You won't have they won't come up. Right now we're planting another 6 dozen. Only this time it's going to be broccoli. Well, broccoli you don't eat fresh. You can blanch it, throw it in the freezer, and it'll be good all winter. We do the same thing with our cabbage. Whatever you just don't make sauerkraut out of, we turn right around and blanch it, put it in the freezer, and it's still really, really, really good tasting. It's nice to be able to grow your own food. It's a lot of work, a lot of commitment, but it's very satisfying when you go out and see how it does, and you pick it out of your own garden, cook it for your family. And we give vegetables to different people, and they always tell us, a lot of them tell us it's a lot more flavorful than what you buy out of the store. And there's a reason for that. We use a lot of manure like they used to. Manure's got all your minerals, vitamins, nutrients that a plant needs. And that's the way God designed it, and it's the best way to grow it. Now we use some Miracle Grow, like on our tomatoes. We use a regular special Miracle Grow for tomatoes. 8 years ago, Jessica used to go to the farmer's market, and there's nobody works harder than people that are full-time into this farmer market. They'd be out there 5:30 in the morning picking. Then you got to wash everything, package everything, keep your gardens clean. And when Jessica started to have, her and her husband started to have children, it took up too much time, so she wanted to get out of it. But you meet a lot of nice people doing stuff like that. I used to going down there enjoying talking to people, and some of us guys would get talking about fishing, and they're always talking about growing stuff and the issues they have, the problems they have, the people that sold down there. It's a lot of very, very hard work. People don't realize how much work goes into their food. If they had to do this one summer, they would greatly appreciate it. That's another thing about raising your own food. If you have kids, getting them out there, let them help you. Let them get them started. Let them show what it is that people have to do to bring food on their table. Because most people anymore don't even know how to plant a garden. And their kids think all the food just comes from the store. So it's very important. It's good education. You get to spend time with your kids. Dad, get out there in the garden with them. And if you don't know how to plant, then get on YouTube channels. Learn what you need to know. Because the most important thing you can do in this life, more than anything on this earth, is spend time with your kids. They like that more than anything you could ever buy them. They'll remember it a lifetime. And you can instill good things in them when they're little. When they get a little older, yeah, they're going to rebel against you. But eventually they'll come back when they get a little older, get a little wiser. And they'll think, boy, Dad ain't near as stupid as we thought he was when he was young. Mark Twain once said, when I was 18 years old, my dad was the dumbest person on this earth. He said, time I reached 30, I figured out I couldn't believe how smart the old man got. So that's what'll happen down the road. Just spend time with them. Put up with them, because they're gonna rebel. That's okay. You probably did too. But teach them what's right, teach them what's wrong, and to make this country better. A good country starts right in the families. You take out the family, you take out the country, and that's what they've been trying to do in this government the last 50 years, is destroy the family unit. The most important thing, a wise person once said, the person that rocks the cradle rules the world. And that's true because you can bring your kids up to honor God, love one another, be there for one another, and do the right thing. So be good to your neighbor, reach out to them, help the old people, crippled people, people that need help. And I promise you, one day that'll come back and you'll be paid for it one way or the other. If not in this life, the next life. So do the best you can. Don't get wrapped up in worldly things so much where you forget about the important things. The simple important things is spend time with your family, be there for needy people that really need help. I don't mean people that don't want to work, but old people, people maybe out of a job that has kids. If you have extra, be there for them. That's what life's all about. That's what's important in life. How much you accomplish, how much you earn. Have you ever seen a U-Haul follow a hearse? That guy ain't going to need it. So there's no need him following him out to the cemetery. But whatever you do good on this earth will remain forever. So it's very important to remember. Okay, yes. It's our final watering here. We planted all we can plant right now. It's too early to do tomatoes or peppers or stuff that frost will hurt. Before we go, I'd like to tell one little quick story about my grandson Owen. He's always coming up with something. I asked him last night when we was doing chores, I said, Owen, would you like to be a YouTube star? He said, nope. I said, why not? He said, Poopa, I never did like music very much. Now, I'm not sure what that got to do with YouTube, but he wasn't much on it. And another thing, when the kids were, I still do it, but when the kids were little, I always say back in 49. Back in 49, well, I wasn't born until 56. But they believe me. And I'll say, we used to do this back in 49. Well, one day I was looking for a tool I couldn't find. And no one looked at me and said, Poopa, why do you care about that tool? You ain't used that since back in 49. So they listen to what you tell them. So thank you very much.